What advice would you give someone painting their first ever 3D model? A 176 scale, where visible brushstrokes will trigger the OCD of the person painting. Well, if you don't want to see visible brushstrokes, it sounds like you're going to have to mask and paint with rattle cans. Wait, right there. I'm a big fan of these Tamiya primers. This is AS-11 medium sea gray. You can only buy it in these 100 milliliter cans. I believe this is a lacquer-based product. Let me just double check that. Anyway, I believe this is a lacquer-based product, which means it dries very fast and makes a great, this is great stuff. I really, really like this. My advice for painting your first 3D printed model, I love to do a paint job just before I leave for the day. So to me, the primer coat is the most important part of it. So I will often, and I just did this with the case that I ensconced the beautiful watchmaker lathe that Lee Marsh sent me. At the last thing I'll do in the day is turn on my overhead fan, put on a face mask, and basically drown a thing in primer. I'm avoiding drips, but only just, is this the lacquer based? This is the lacquer base for plastic and metal gray. It's fabulous, fabulous stuff. It covers well, it dries quickly, and you can only buy it in these small cans because of regulations on chemistry. I would put a lot of this on. Thin coats every 5 minutes. That's a great way to do it. Build a dimensional coat on your model and then sand it back down. And if you do it with the primer and you get it right, you can do all your sanding with starting with 220. Visible brushstrokes. If you don't want to see the brushstrokes, I would still go with lacquers. They dry really quickly, and yeah, I like the Flow Quill lacquers. I don't know if you can still get them. You might not be able to. Lacquer is the best paint, and it's the most poisonous. It's the lacquer thinner is terrible for you. It's volatile organic compounds. But dude, in a proper setup, when you've mixed it correctly, you can get lacquer to flash so fast and be rock hard right away. It's spectacular stuff. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame it's so poisonous and highly regulated, which it should be because it's poisonous. But I can lament the loss of being able to readily obtain that in California. Don't get me wrong. My heart's on the right side of the environmental issue, man, but sometimes I miss my noxious chemicals. Let's see here. Woo, wow, Comotose asks an interesting technical question. I recently purchased a large Lego set. Oh, you purchased the Tuxedo Cat Lego set. Kristen Lamazny, the GM of Tested, was just showing me this beautiful kit. It's gorgeous. The Tuxedo Cat Lego. Whoo, it's just fantastic. Comotose wants to paint it so it matches your actual cat. What do you recommend for painting Legos? Okay, so we were talking about this specific thing because the Tuxedo Kitty is the question I was asked was, is there a way you could just buy a full set of the colored parts in a different color so that you could make it not just a black and white Tuxedo Kitty, but another kind of Tuxedo Kitty? But you want to paint Legos? Painting Legos? That's it has never occurred to me. I lie. It has occurred to me to paint a Lego, but only very briefly, and I have never done it. I've never done it. No, I've never done it. I have drawn on Legos back when the space Legos came out in the early '80s. The computer screen Legos on a 4 slant going to 2. The computer screen Legos were hard to come by. And they were precious. And sometimes when I was making a control room, I wanted more of them. And so I made some of my own. We covered this when I was sorting my Legos because I still have some of those original screens I drew on stickers to give myself extra Lego panels. You want to paint Legos, man. I'm sorry. I don't think I have a recommendation for painting Legos. That's just, I don't think that that's a wrong thing to do. I think if it's what you want to do, you should do it. But I don't think you're going to get a Lego type paint job. I mean, here's the problem. If your paint job is anything but, if your paint job leaves the Legos looking like anything but Legos, they'll look weird unless you attempt to go all the way, like oil paints. And you go for almost a textural replication of your cat, where like there's, you know, color variance going on at the borders and you see the fur and stuff like that. That could be really kind of cool. I could see like doing a physical portrait that you painted like a Van Gogh, right? Like that kind of, with heavy paint, like Van Gogh's heavy paint. Van Gogh was layering it on. Van Gogh was such a rich kid with the amount of paint that he threw onto canvases, man. That was a lot of actual money that his brother was spending keeping Van Gogh in liquid paint. When you see it up there on the canvas, it's magnificent. That kind of execution on Lego, that could be pretty cool. JWR10X asks, what, if any, were your favorite model builds you did when you were growing up? I had a really specific one that I did when I was about 15 or 16. I built the Tamiya version of the Patton tank. I believe this model is still under production. It is a terrific model. It's incredibly detailed. I did some really nice work on it, some mud spattering and aluminizing of some pieces. It was a pretty good execution. And the Tamiya and Husqvarna, to me, are the two Japanese model companies that back in the day had the crispest castings. They had crisp moldings, high detailed parts, really, really fun to build and to paint with. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I built, you know, when I was like 12, 11, I built things like Formula One cars and rat rods and Frankenstein and R2-D2 and other stuff like that. But it was a lot of snap fits. There wasn't like anything in terms of, I wasn't doing any kind of model making. It was mostly just like building according to the thing on the box. I mean, yeah, the Patton tank was a real high spot for me.
Thank you for watching that video. Are you as sick of the tosses to membership as I am? Good, because here's a brand new one that I recorded today and it's nice and short. There are 3 tiers to Tested membership and they all offer awesome stuff. Find out about it by clicking the join link below. We'll see you there.